Today, pro football's palace of greatness, its Hall of Fame, expands by 5. This day, the call comes from Canton. Today, their achievements are honored. Their careers are immortalized. Mike Singletary, his eyes told the story.
When I was on the field, what you saw in my eyes is what I felt inside.
The centerpiece of the Super Bowl Bears' 46 defense, Singletary missed only 2 games in his 12-year career. Anthony Munoz broke the mold. The man who redefined the offensive tackle position breaks ground again. The first Bengal going from Cincy to Canton. Even though injuries only gave us 8 seasons to appreciate his greatness, Miami center Dwight Stevenson anchored a line that allowed few sacks and garners worthy recognition. On this day, a long wait ends for Paul Krause. No one had more interceptions in an NFL career. Today, after 81 picks, 8 Pro Bowls, and 4 Super Bowls, Krause gets the one honor his career has been missing. A dozen-year career left Tommy McDonald with great numbers. Consider 1 touchdown catch every 5.9 receptions. Not bad for 5'9", a 175-pound package of toughness.
Don't let anybody tell you that you're not big enough. It's the size of the heart, baby. It's the size of the heart.
They come from different walks of life, played different positions on the field, made names in different cities. But today, they come together under one roof, under one title. And they come together here, Hall of Famers in Canton, Ohio. The Hall of Fame celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, and we welcome you live on ESPN2 to our coverage of the enshrinement ceremonies. Mike Tirico, Tom Jackson, really honored to be here. This is the culmination of what is a great week in Canton, Ohio. And Tommy, for these players, it is the ultimate moment that so many that start this road of playing football never get to the end.
Well, I think the true meaning of this weekend and the induction ceremony is that from the time you begin to play organized football as a child, you dream about one day coming to the Hall of Fame, being inducted into the Hall. For most of us, it won't happen, but for those select few, it's the biggest achievement of your professional life.
We'll hear from McDonald and Krause and Munoz and Singletary and Stevenson, and it'll be an exciting road over the next couple hours. So settle back and enjoy. We'll step aside for a minute. And when we come back, the festivities get going. The 35th anniversary of the Hall of Fame. It's the enshrinement ceremony from Canton, live on The Deuce.
Introducing Sprint Sense Anytime. Now calls are just 10 cents a minute, anytime, any day.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Call 1-800-PIN-DROP for a dime anytime.
Here's what the renovated rooms at Motel 6 look like when you're sleeping and when you're awake. Asleep, awake, strobe light. Sorry, I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Yeah, I'll be leaving on the 18th, sometime in the morning, back on the 21st. What's the last flight out? Oh, what's the one before that? Perfect. Yeah, go ahead and book that one.
You know, Dad, this isn't brain surgery.
Now, Southwest Airlines gives you the freedom to plan and purchase your flight online. It's so easy, even a grown-up can do it.
Now all you need is the confirmation number. Can I go play now?
You are now free to move about the country.
ESPN2's coverage of the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With their Solo, you have the freedom to fly. A reminder, the Hall of Fame game from Fawcett Stadium, just 100 yards away from here, comes up at 7 Eastern tonight, live on ABC Sports. The Steelers and Cordell Stewart against the Bucks. Al, Dan, and Boomer Esiason have the call. And then with coverage beginning at 10 Eastern on ESPN, it's the first of our NFL slate. The Packers against the team that has the best record in the AFC, the Chiefs. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire, the call from Tokyo at 10 Eastern. We'll be right back.
right. Big city deals. That's the reason customers keep coming back to Scott Automotive.
I got a good deal at Scott Automotive, and I had great service after the deal, and I had a nice sales lady to deal with, Carrie. And when I'm ready to trade again, I'll be back out at Scott Automotive.
My experience at Scott Automotive was fantastic. As a matter of fact, I sent 2 of my family members out, and they got a great deal, too.
So come see us at Scott Automotive, family owned and operated, for small town pride and big city deals.
I think Amana makes the best appliances. But how do I know this? Was I born with this knowledge? Or is it from years of admiring my friends' kitchens? A little of both. You probably have this vague feeling that Amana makes the best appliances. Nice when the facts back you up. Aurora TV and Appliance has the facts about Amana's quartz halogen cooktops with 10 finely tuned temperature settings for more precise cooking control. Aurora TV and Appliance and Amana, making a difference.
The art of tennis, as played by the masters. Tennis on ESPN.
ESPN Sunday Night Football. Full season coverage begins September 6th.
Well, they have held the enshrinement on the steps here at the Hall of Fame since 1966. The commissioner presides over it, as always. Paul Tagliabue will set the stage for the induction ceremony when we come back to Canton on ESPN2.
Friends, 10-3-2-1 has changed to 10-10-3-2-1, but nothing's really changed. It still saves 50% on every call over 20 minutes. Just dial 10-10-3-2-1, then 1, then the number as usual.
What's the human up to?
Waiting on the pest control guy again. Don't worry, he never shows.
Oh, no!
They call Terminix.
For service when you want it, the way you want it. Call 1-800-TERMINIX. No bugs, no hassles.
Millions may know the story, but only one network can finally bring you the film. Showtime wins my vote for artistic bravery, raves the New York Post, and Time magazine says a touch of greatness. So don't miss one of the most talked about films of the year, directed by Adrian Lyne. Lolita, the exclusive U.S. premiere, only on Showtime.
Attention passengers. Our bingo tournament is starting in 5 minutes on the captain's deck. Also on deck, today's graphic is pipe cleaner also known.
There's 75 guys on the roster, but once regular season starts, there's only 53 guys on the roster, and a lot of people are going to, be packing their bags and going home. It's really a lot of pressure to do what you have to do to make this football game.
Welcome back to Canton, Ohio, when the first weekend in August or the last weekend in July, traditionally Hall of Fame weekend, has been hot, has had some rain, has had some humidity, but not this weekend. The temperature is 76 degrees. It is an ideal day, not a cloud in the sky. It will be a great scene tonight for the game under the lights at Fawcett Stadium, but it will be an even better scene here this afternoon. And we have 51 former Hall of Famers on hand, more than ever before, to watch these 5 go in. Jim Johnson, local radio sportscaster, is the MC of this event for the last 11 years. And he is introducing the inductees now, and we'll let you listen in on the applause for Dwight Stevenson, the 5th of the inductees to be introduced to this crowd. Tommy McDonald was the last player who you just saw there, and he is started this hugging thing, and everyone is hugging each other as they come out.
And Tommy McDonald also brought a briefcase with him, and I don't know what that means in terms of his induction speech, but he might have a file in there.
Well, let's go listen in now as Richard Watkins, the mayor of Canton, Ohio, gets the program going.
Thank you very much, Jim, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever seen a more closely knit, more deserving, more wonderful team of enshrinees than these? The only problem we have is with Tommy McDonald trying to get him not to be so laid back. Anyhow, on behalf of the city of Canton, thank you very much for being here. Welcome to our city, the friendliest city in the United States of America, and this wonderful weekend that we're having. The weather has cooperated. The parade was fantastic. All of the activities that have taken place have been first class. Everybody's enjoyed themselves. We hope that you will continue to come back year after year and enjoy what we have to offer here in hospitality and what we have to offer here on behalf of the National Football League and the Hall of Fame. We think it's very important to our community because it's the health of our community that we're concerned about. And it's these folks and these men who have walked the walk of fame to get here. They've paid a price, and they were willing to do so. But they've reached it, and they've earned it, and we're very, very proud of them. We're proud of you also for your support of this festival in Canton, Ohio. Continue to support us. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe, be happy, and be careful going home. Thanks for coming.
Two more introductions to make. One is this year's winner of the Dick McCann Memorial Award, which honors the first director of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The award given by the Pro Football Writers of America in recognition of distinguished service in the field of pro football reporting. This year's winner, Dave Anderson, pro football columnist for the New York Times. And the Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award given by the Pro Football Hall of Fame in recognition of long-time exceptional contributions to radio and TV in pro football. And this year's winner is Val Pinchbeck Jr., the NFL's recently retired Senior Vice President of Broadcasting and Network Television. Well, we're here, the thousands of you, to honor 5 more pro football greats and see them enshrined here in the Hall of Fame. So let's begin. Our first presenter. This man is a winner of 3 Emmys as a writer-producer for NFL films. He is also the author of 7 books on pro football. And here to present Tommy McDonald for induction into the Hall of Fame is Ray Didinger.
Thank you. What a glorious day, and what a glorious weekend. Tommy McDonald is here today for one reason. He followed his heart. He had a passion for the game of football and a desire to be the best, and he wouldn't let anything stand in his way. That's why he's here today. Not because it was easy, because for Tommy it never was. Not because it was destiny, because then it wouldn't have taken this long. Tommy is here because he refused to listen to all the people who told him it was impossible. The high school and college coaches who told him he was too small. The pro teams that ignored him in the 1957 draft. They didn't realize that inside that jackrabbit body beat the heart of a lion. Tommy McDonald was a great football player, but he is much more than that. He's an inspiration to every young person who's ever been told he wasn't big enough, or fast enough, or good enough. He's proof that the greatest strength is still the strength of the human will. He's proof that you don't have to stand tall to stand for everything that's good in life as well as athletics. Tommy was 5'9" and 172 pounds when he played in the National Football League. Today, he becomes the smallest player enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that makes his accomplishments all the more remarkable. 495 receptions, more than 9,000 total yards. Those are imposing numbers. When Tommy retired in 1968, he was second only to the great Don Hudson, with 84 touchdown catches. Tommy averaged 1 touchdown for every 5.8 receptions, a figure that ranks among the all-time best and eclipses every current receiver, including Jerry Rice. But those numbers, compelling as they are, don't tell the story of Tommy McDonald. You had to see him play to know how special he was. If I had one wish for the NFL today, in this era of billion-dollar TV deals and million-dollar contracts, it would be that more players played the game the way Tommy McDonald played it, that they gave as much, cared as much, and loved it as much as he did. We'd all have a lot more fun. Tommy didn't just play the game, he embraced it. He played the game the way we played it as kids at recess, like he was afraid that any second the bell would ring and he'd have to go back to class. He was the last player in the league not to wear a face mask. He had his jaw broken in the 1959 league opener, but he played the next week with his jaw wired shut, and he still scored 4 touchdowns to beat the New York Giants. That was Tommy McDonald. He was the smallest man on the field, yet in the fourth quarter, with the game on the line, there wasn't a better receiver in all of football. That's not just my opinion. Norm Van Brocklin himself said it. And if the Dutchman were here today to see Tommy join him in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure he'd say, it's about time. Vince Lombardi once paid Tommy the ultimate compliment. He said, if I had 11 Tommy McDonalds, I'd win a championship every year. Tommy scored a touchdown to beat Lombardi's Packers in the 1960 championship game. Tommy never won another championship after that, but he played like a champion every week for 12 seasons. Growing up in Philadelphia, I saw every game Tommy played as an Eagle. They were the best Sundays of my life. Going to Franklin Field, watching number 25 make catches that seemed like something out of a dream. I know there are thousands of people my age in the Philadelphia area who are pro football fans today because, like me, they grew up watching Tommy McDonald. He was our hero. He is my hero still. Words cannot describe what a thrill it is for me to be a part of this very special day. It is now my great honor to present, at long last, the newest, the smallest, and surely the most grateful member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Tommy McDonald.
Oh boy! God almighty, I feel so good! So good! God almighty, can I hear an amen back here? Yeah, you got that, baby. Move over, Ronald McDonald. There's another McDonald in Canada, and we're both going to sell hamburgers. Big Macs and Little Macs. Do I look excited, or do I seem a little, like I've won the lottery or the jackpot? Yes, yes. I'm in. I'm going in the Hall of Fame. Yes. Does it look like me? Oh, yeah. Huh? I'm supposed to have good hands. I want to introduce my family, and I'm going to start with my little woman, Patty, my wife. In fact, when she found out that I was going into the Hall of Fame, she says, we'd have to go someplace special. I'd like to go someplace that I've never been. And I said, someplace special, someplace you've never been? How about the kitchen? Oh, oh. Mr. Tagliabue asked me, he says, why do you take your wife every place that you go? I said, because she's too ugly to kiss goodbye. Just teasing, just teasing. I'm I'm making kissing up tours, what I'm doing. Kissing up tour. I had 4 kids, and I want to introduce them. Sherry and Rudy. Stand up, babe. Don't be embarrassed. Stand up. Chris and Carol, come on, stand up. Tommy and Kim, come on, stand up. I forgot my daughter's last. What's your name, kid? Tish, that's right. Come on, stand up, Tish. Okay, kiddo. All right. My mom isn't here. She's 88 years old. She's in a wheelchair. And, Mom, I just want you to know, you and Dad, I wish every kid in the United States would have had you as a pop and a mom, because you gave me the love, the support, and everything that I needed in life. You made my brother and myself your whole life. So I want to thank you. My dad, he died in '94, but he's standing right here. In fact, Ray Nitschke's standing here also. Can you see him? Number 66. Yeah, right here. And I want you to know that my birthday was July the 26th, and I want to celebrate a little bit. Staying alive, baby. Eat your heart out. Yeah. All right, and now I'd like to I want the rest of these guys to be part of my introduction, because I want all 5 of them to get up here and stand right here. And as I introduce you, Paul Krause, number 22, the Minnesota Vikings! All right, now stand up here. Stand up here. Munoz, Cincinnati, number 78. Next, I want number 50, Mike Singletary, the Chicago Bears. All right, Dwight Stevenson, number 57, the Miami Dolphins. And stay up here. Last but not least, Tommy McDonald, Philadelphia Eagles. Go! Thank you, Canton. I love it.
We promised you Tommy McDonald's acceptance would be a little bit different. He has been that bundle of enthusiasm for all the events this week. And Tom Jackson, that's so contagious and really honest and not a scam and a sham of an act.
Well, and I think you can see the crowd appreciation for his enthusiasm for being inducted. You know, we come here every year and we think we've seen everything. And that, without a doubt, was the most enthusiastic acceptance speech I've ever heard.
Now the traditional pictures will be taken as McDonald goes over with his presenter, Ray Didinger, and they take a picture with the sketch and the bus that will go inside in Canton. Right now we're going to go back to our Master of Ceremonies, Jim Johnson.
Member of the Hall of Fame, here's the Commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue.
Well, there are hard acts to follow, and that is an impossible act to follow. But let me Let me ask you for your attention for just a moment, because we want to have a special tribute today to a very, very special member of the Hall of Fame. Like Tommy McDonald, this individual was a phenomenal performer, a receiver, sometimes a running back, sometimes a receiver. This winter, he suffered a devastating injury in a skiing accident. Today, he's struggling in a hospital bed to make a comeback. The Hall of Famers yesterday spoke and showed their love, their respect, their support for this Hall of Famer. And I want to ask you in a moment to join me to show your love, your respect, and your support for Doak Walker, a brilliant player for the Detroit Lions, a wonderful human being. Those of you who have been here for other induction ceremonies know that Doak Walker has always been here, has been a faithful member of the Hall of Fame. So I want everybody to stand and send a message of support and respect and love to Doak Walker and wish him a speedy recovery.
We'll step aside for a moment, and when we come back, Paul Krause of the Minnesota Vikings gets inducted into that great building here in Canton, Ohio. We'll be right back on The Deuce.
Here's the thing about love. You never know when it's looking your way. Here's the thing about 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect calls. One low rate, anytime, anywhere, period. So you use 1-800-CALL-ATT and say, hey, put dinner in the freezer, Ma, 'cause I just saw me an angel. Here's another thing about love. It hurts. Love comes and goes. But 1-800-CALL-ATT is the guaranteed cheap way to make collect calls.
I mean, the way I see it, you know, assistant manager, that's...
If you like Pringles, you'll love new fat-free Pringles. Because they're made with Olean. They're half the calories, 0 fat, and so much like original Pringles. You'll think they taste just as good.
These are fat-free?
It hushes highways and reduces wind to a whisper. It's as quiet as you want it to be. It's steering wheel-mounted audio controls that let you live your life like a movie and score your own soundtrack. It's a 210 horsepower performance, and you've got front row seats. It's the RL from Acura. During the Summer Sales Classic, lease the 3.5 RL for $469 a month. The Acura Summer Sales Classic.
From the strength-sapping heat of early summer, pro football is played. It is the game for all seasons.
Joining Jim Finks, Bud Grant, Alan Page, and Fran Tarkington from the great Vikings teams of the late 60s and early 70s, Paul Krause. He goes into the Hall of Fame after this.
I left my heart, and that's my song. And I've sung for kings and queens and 7 American presidents. It's wonderful to have everybody recognize you. Will shine for me.
Beautiful, Mr. Bennett. But if you're going to write a check for these CDs, I still need to see some ID.
Use the Visa card that automatically deducts from your checking account at the millions of places Visa's accept.
I left my ID in,
San Francisco? The Visa check card. Works like a check, only better.
Night, Shannon. Good game.
Hey, thanks, man.
Eggs are crazy. What's on the other one?
like late hits? Then you love NFL Extreme. It's a 5-on-5 gridiron free-for-all.
PlayStation. What's the human up to?
Waiting on the pest control guy again. Don't worry, he never shows.
Oh, no!
They call terminate.
For service when you want it, the way you want it. Call 1-800-Terminix. No bugs, no hassles.
Introducing Sprint Sense Anytime. Now calls are just 10 cents a minute, anytime, any day.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Call 1-800-PIN-DROP for a dime anytime.
I don't fear anyone in the NFL. But maybe there's somebody else out there, pushing himself to be stronger and more powerful than I am. Somebody who thinks he can stop me all by himself. You're not the one, are you?
ESPN Sunday Night Football. Full season coverage begins September 6th.
So welcome back to Canton. Jerry Burns, who recruited Paul Krause at Iowa, where he played his college football and was one of his defensive coaches with the Minnesota Vikings, has just finished the introductions. And now the free safety, who has for 18 years held the record for most interceptions in the NFL over a career with 81. Paul Krause has stepped to the platform for induction.
Thank you, Jerry. You wrote it just like I told you to. But you haven't thanked me for being on that Iowa football team that lost so many games, that got you out of college coaching into the World Championship Green Bay Packers, and then with the with the Minnesota Vikings. So myself with the other Iowa football players that are here, we accept your condolences and whatever. I'm not Tommy McDonald, believe me. I couldn't get close to that even when I was playing, and I don't think I wanted to. First of all, I would like to thank God for giving me the ability to become an athlete. Without His grace, none of this would be possible. Also thankful for Christian parents who raised me to respect others and to be reverent of God. My mother and father, Olin, Ora Krause. Stand. My brothers, Ron and Ken, sisters, Darlene and Jane. Where are you? Stand, please. Most of all, I'm thankful for my immediate family. My wife, Pam, daughters Z and Amanda, and son Blair, their grandson, my son Amanda, my grandson Henry, I'm getting all mixed up here. Would they stand along with my mother-in-law, Connie Henry? We've been through some bad times lately, but we've always stuck together as a family, and we've loved one another. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I attended Bendel High School, small school back there with about 300 kids. I'd like to thank my coaches, Vern Allward, Mr. Russian, Mr. Brunette, for always being there to open up the doors for the facilities that we could go out and practice. I'd like to thank my high school friends and teammates, because while I was playing in college and pro ball, I knew that I was playing for them, because they didn't have that opportunity. Went to the University of Iowa. Jerry Burns was our coach. Had a great year, or 4 great years there. It was a cultural shock going from Flint, Michigan to the small town of Iowa City. I can remember people used to drive up into town and leave their cars running and run into the store, and I always used to tell them, boy, if you did that in Flint, Michigan, your car would be there about 10 seconds. Baseball was a major part of my life there. Football was a major part. I even tried to play basketball and run track, but I almost flunked out of college, so I thought I better only play baseball and football. It turned out that being injured in football, I couldn't continue my baseball career, and just happened to flow into football. Was drafted number 2 by the Washington Redskins, along with Charlie Taylor, who was number 1. At that time, I played a little bit of defense, lucky enough to be the first rookie ever to make All-Pro, and led the team the league in interceptions. My 3rd year there, Otto Graham was coach. He traded me. I couldn't believe it, Otto. But I was traded to the Minnesota Vikings, and everything worked out fantastic. It was an honor for me to play with those great Viking teams, the Purple People Eaters. We were a true example of how teamwork could win championships. And we loved each other. We played with each other on the football field, and we became the closest of friends then and even today, now. Because through all these bad times, they were there when I needed them. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my wife's accident. This is going to be very difficult for me, but I'll try. My wife of 35 years was injured 2.5 years ago, in a coma for 5.5 months. The doctors told us she wouldn't live. The doctor told me, if you believed in God, start praying. I never believed that she would die, and I'm glad she's here today. Being a finalist the last few years, 2 years ago I was a finalist for the Hall of Fame. And at that time, that wasn't the most important thing in my life. This past year, Pam made the statement that this was going to be my year because God wanted her to be president. Sure enough, Pam, it happened just the way you said it. And all I can say is never give up your dreams and never give up your faith in God, because He's always there. Thank you very much.
Tom Jackson, we talk about football being a team game, and the team we see are the ones who wear the same uniforms.
Yes.
But we don't see the teams that all of you as players went home to every night and who had to put up with your injuries, and to see the flip side of it and how the Krause family has handled it it gives you chills.
Yes, family and children, and Paul's wife, Pam, standing during his acceptance speech. One of the more touching moments we've had here at the Hall.
Well, next will be Anthony Munoz from the Cincinnati Bengals, and we talk about his presenter. It's a wonderful story. His son Michael, who I'm sure you will hear, is a young man who will hopefully, God willing, have a great football career just like his father. Let's once again rejoin Jim Johnson, the Master of Ceremonies.
Please welcome Michael Munoz.
Thank you. Yeah. I know that you expect me to introduce to you another great football player. And in a way, I am. I'm not going to focus on the fact that he was the #1 draft pick for the Cincinnati Bengals in 1980. Despite the fact that he suffered 3 knee injuries out of 4 years, including his senior season at USC. I'm not going to focus on him being the first player ever selected to 11 consecutive Pro Bowls. Or his unanimous selection to the Team of the Decade. Or even the NFL's 75th anniversary team. Instead, I'm going to use this time to say thanks to my dad for what he has meant in my life. Dad, thank you for always being there. By coming home when you could have gone out with the guys, or by not taking jobs and so you could watch me and Michelle play basketball and football. Thank you for taking us with you whenever and wherever you could. I never remember you watching you play, but I always remember being there. I remember going to Spinney Field. I remember going to the Pro Bowls, trying to catch Reggie Roby's mile-high punts, getting Bruce Smith's shoe autographed, and getting Howie Long's practice jersey. And thank you for keeping us in your heart when you're away on the road, by bringing us gifts or calling us on the phone to let us know that you love us. Thanks for always being there. And thank you for always being consistent in your work ethic. I remember Michelle and I would go to Sycamore High School, and you'd be running, and you would run, and run, and run. And me and Michelle would say, "Are you done yet?" And he would start his sprints. And thank you for being consistent in your walk with the Lord. Yeah. You've always been consistent in leading our daily prayers. No matter what happens, good or bad, easy or hard, I've seen you trust God and be consistent in what you say and what you do. Thank you for always being there, always being consistent. But most of all, thank you for always being a real person. You have been my model. I have learned to say I'm sorry, I was wrong, from you being big enough to admit your mistakes. You have modeled humility. I have learned to respect women because of how you have loved and respected Mom. You've also been my mentor. You've taught me technique, strategy, moves, and drills. You have taught me to let my actions speak louder than my words, and to make people more important than things. And finally, you have shown me how to be a man. Recently in Ontario, California, where he grew up, his former classmates and friends all had the same basic thing to say about him. Everybody knew who the big man on campus was, except for one person, and that was him. Humility has always been a hallmark for your life. You have shown me strength under control and how to be tough while still being tender. You are a real man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you a great football player, a great friend, a great father, and a great husband. He is a man who stands tall among men because he is a man who walks with God. He is a man of God. I introduce to you my father, Anthony Munoz.
Thank you. These past few days, we've been celebrating as a family. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to celebrate a miracle and a gift that happened 17 years ago. 17 years ago, I remember going into a team meeting right about 7 o'clock, my second year in the NFL. My wife was due with our first child. Got a knock on the team meeting door, and there I flew down Highway 71 to be at the hospital for our first child. Michael Munoz was born, and I'm thankful. Michael, it is an honor to have you introduce me today. Thank you very much. Also, 19 months after Michael was born, we were blessed with the daughter. Another very special gift. I'd like to introduce our daughter, Michelle. And also my best friend for the last 20 years, my wife, Dee Dee. Someone that could not be here, that saddens me very much, is my mother, Esther Munoz, who had an accident several weeks ago, broke her hip, is in the hospital. And Mom, I miss you. Back in 1980, I was offered an opportunity by the late Paul Brown. I was offered an opportunity by Paul Brown and his son, Mike Brown, who's here today. Mike's brother, Paul's son, Pete Brown, the Brown family, they offered me an opportunity as they drafted me with the #3 pick in the NFL, an opportunity to play in the NFL, as they sent Forrest Gregg out to Los Angeles, right here. After going through those 3 knee operations in 4 years at USC, they sent Forrest Gregg out to work me out at USC to see if this guy was worthy of being picked. I won't go into details, but I knew who Forrest was. I knew he was a Hall of Fame tackle. He was putting me through a workout, so I needed to show him that I was worthy for them to pick me. He put me through some drills, and I moved along, and all of a sudden he decided to pass rush me. I wasn't sure how to react, but I reacted like any offensive lineman would react. He made a move inside, made a move outside. Just as he made that, I stuck both hands right in his chest, and I jammed him to the ground. You better believe I was scared. I extended a hand, I apologized, and he said, "No problem." He smiled, he goes, "That's okay." And Sam Weiss, who coached me for 8 years with the Cincinnati Bengals, also. They gave me an opportunity that I am so grateful for. When a lot of people did not give me a chance to go to an NFL camp, the Brown family and the Bengal organization gave me that opportunity. You know, a lot of times when we strive to get to the pinnacle of our profession, It's like a triangle. You reach the pinnacle, and you have a broad base of people, just like each and every one of you that make that possible. Well, I had those people. Lots of people. And it started as a kid. But through my pro career and then preparing me for my pro career, I go back to USC. They gave me an opportunity to attend the University of Southern California and play football there, coached by John Robinson. My offensive line coach, Hudson Houck, who built that foundation as I was drafted in 1980 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Not to mention when I was a 6-year-old kid in Ontario, California, and as I would get on my bicycle and try to play as many baseball games as possible during the summer, and we would go to the Parks and Recreation, where Jim Seaman would open up the shed to allow us to play. And that, as a 6-year-old kid, Jim Seaman would provide a baseball glove for us to play baseball. That was an opportunity that I had as a kid. Thank you, Jim. It's opportunities like that that motivate me now as an adult to put in the energy and time in charitable causes in the community of Cincinnati to provide those opportunities for those that have a dream, that want to accomplish something. To give those people that God has created to make the most of the gift that He's given them. That's why I take the time, because it's the people that have allowed me to reach the pinnacle of my career. And also I was offered instruction, a course at the professional level. 1980 as a rookie, the Bengals had just hired an offensive line coach, about 5'9", 5'10", Jim McNally, who is not here today. He's the offensive line coach at Carolina. And I believe his daughter Jenny is here to represent him. I'm not sure where she is, but she's here. Jim McNally taught me a lot. Jim was the kind of guy that my first 2 off seasons I lived in Southern California, and about 10 o'clock at night he would call me. After viewing tapes all summer or all off season, he would say, "I've found some new technique. Get down in your stance and I'll show you what to do." So the first time he calls me, I have the phone at my ear and I get down in my stance, and he says, "Now shift your weight to the left, shift it to the right." And I'm sitting there, only have played 1 year in the NFL, and I'm doing everything he says. And we're 2,000 miles apart from each other. Well, I've told him this the second time he calls, he goes, "I have something else, get down in your stance." So I'm laying on the bed and I said, "Okay, I'm in my stance." Shift to the left, I said, "Okay." I roll over and grab the pillow, I said, "I feel it." I thank Jim McNally for all those years, the 13 years I had him as my offensive line coach. And in college, my college teammates who taught me what it meant to work and work hard. Guys like Brad Buddy, who came from an NFL football family background, and he got to USC and it looked like he'd been lifting weights since kindergarten. He taught me what it meant to work extremely hard and prepare yourself for the upcoming season. And it was people like my brother Joe, who's right here in front. Joe, stand up, and his wife Barbara. It was individuals like my brother Joe and my brother Tom, who is not here today, that taught me, you just go out and play and let your playing do the talking. You don't have to say anything. Be competitive, be intense, but let people see your humility. And I appreciate them for those lessons they taught me. That your performance will speak louder than whatever you say. I was offered encouragement. Never forget the 13 years at Riverfront Stadium. And the jungle that was established right there on the river down in Cincinnati. I appreciate all the encouragement from the fans, week in and week out, and even now after being out of the league for 5 years, as Cincinnati's our home and we go about town, and a lot of encouragement. Also, the encouragement and the support as I look out and see guys that aren't your normal-sized guys. Guys sitting out right in front of me that were part of Super Bowl 16 offensive line and Super Bowl 23 offensive line. Guys, take a stand right here. Guys that I played with, right here. Offensive linemen and right here. The encouragement that they offered me throughout my career. And not to mention the encouragement that my mother, Esther, gave me growing up as a kid. The lessons she taught me in work ethic, in courage, in toughness, in mental toughness, as she battled through most of her life fighting arthritis and had both knees replaced. Those are the lessons that I'm thankful for, the encouragement that my mom gave me, the opportunity she offered, and the instruction she offered me as a kid. And one other gentleman that I'd like to mention is I was in advanced comp class in high school, and I was not doing too well during the basketball season. And my assistant baseball coach, Michael Alonzo, pulled me aside and said, he knew baseball was my first love in high school. He said, now, if you don't get this class going in the right direction, you won't be able to play baseball. And Michael, I thank you for that encouragement in high school. And as I mentioned earlier, my best friend for the last 20 years, my wife, Dee Dee. I thank you for all the years of support, encouragement, and love, and standing by me through the good times and through the bad times. You just mean so much to me, and I appreciate you. And I appreciate you more and more every day that we're together. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I wrap it up, I think about all the opportunity I was offered, the encouragement, the instruction I was offered. And it allowed me to do only one thing, and that is to offer my life. Make my life an offering. See, because in my second year in the NFL, I knew I wasn't motivated by the money. I knew I wasn't motivated by the notoriety. And I sat in my hotel room the night before the season opener, and there had to be more to playing in the NFL. And I realized as I looked through the scriptures that there is more than playing in the NFL. That I was to present my body as a living sacrifice, and that was my way to worship God. And you talk about intensity and competitiveness, that's exciting. You see, and as I met the gentleman that sculpted this bus, Blair Buswell, and I sat there with him for 2 days, and he brought in all the details. And I look at God, how God has sculpted this person and brought the details in with all the people I've mentioned. And it has allowed me to be the person I am. And that's what I'm thankful for. And I'm thankful to the selection committee for this great, great honor, the privilege of being with all these other enshrinees. What a thrill for a kid out of Ontario, California, to be sitting here in Canton, Ohio, and saying thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless you.
First ballot enshrinee, Anthony Munoz. You saw the credits of his great career during his speech, All-Pro 11 times, so many other things. Tommy, you talk about his footwork, and we talk about him as a revolutionary player at this position in this league. Why so?
Well, he had great feet and he had great hands. He referenced hitting Forrest Gregg and putting him down to the ground. And I can relate to that because the first time that I ever pass rushed Anthony Munoz, he did that exact thing to me. And yet I think for all the accomplishments that he had on the field, he is even a better person off the field. I don't know if most people know this, but he took a year off from his TV career in order to help out with the Moeller High School team for which his son Michael plays.
His son's a junior in high school, and he's a great football player. He's the third son to introduce his father for induction here at the Hall, and now the first wife to ever be the presenter for their husband is going to step up. Ken Singletary will be the presenter for her husband, Mike Singletary, the great Bears linebacker.
If I were to ask you to describe Mike Singletary, number 50 for the Chicago Bears, no doubt you would mention the arms extended with fingers pointing, hollering signals before the ball is snapped, or feet in constant motion, anticipating the running back's next move. But most likely, you'd remember the eyes, wide with intensity and anticipation of the quarterback's call, often before he even called the play. That's about all I knew of Mike Singletary, the football player, too, that I saw on TV. I didn't have any inside locker room stories or shared moments in the huddle. I was an observer of that part of his life. But today, I think it's only fitting that we honor the character of this football player, for that truly belongs in a Hall of Fame. The countless hours of film he watched is legendary. It was imperative to him to be able to anticipate any play before it happened. But few knew that he took it upon himself to learn the responsibility of each member of that defense on each play. And in his later years, he stayed after practice to develop his backup linebacker and fine-tune his skills. I asked Mike once if he didn't get nervous about helping the player and putting himself right out of a job. And he assured me that it would only make himself and the team better. But the quality that I most admire is his ability to listen. Whether it's a meeting with a coach, a player in need, his Sunday telephone conversations with his mom, or even on a porch swing with my grandfather, he is never too busy to give you his undivided attention. When you walk through the halls of this building, you get a sense of the history of those who loved this game and helped form the foundation for what it is today. It's only fitting that a young boy from Houston, Texas, who dreamed of an opportunity to have the privilege to play this game that he loved, be enshrined today with those that have dedicated themselves to being not only great football players, but great human beings. Men like George Halas, Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, and Roger Staubach all helped Mike form some of his intensity and work ethic. This is an age when professional athletes sometimes run away from their responsibility as role models. Well, this is one man who not only embraces that responsibility, but finds greater joy in training men and women to be their own children's role models. His induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame is an incredible honor. But I know that Mike will consider himself a success only when each of our children, after they are grown, will look back on their relationship with Mike and name him to the Father's Hall of Fame. I feel so proud to present to you my very best gift from God. And Kristen, Matt, Jill, Jackie, Brooke, Becky, and John's dad, Mike Singletary.
Well, you've heard from my best friend. My children out here, Kim just named all of them, saved me from missing some of them. I would like to say, before I even say another word, that I want to give praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for all all that he has done for me and my family. This story begins a long way back. Houston, Texas. Sort of began when I was 12 years old because there were a lot of things happening at that particular time in my family. We're going through a lot. We're trying to go to the next level. And I'm the last of 10 kids, and when you have 10 kids, sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to make it work. That year, when I was 12 years old, Mom and Dad went through a divorce. When I was 5 years old, my brother Dale passed away, and my second brother would pass away when I was age 12. That was a tough year. I had no confidence, had no self-esteem. Just a young ghetto boy in Houston, Texas, trying to figure out who he was and where he was going to go from there. And I want to tell you today, my mom sat me down one day when I was moping around and feeling sorry for myself, close to giving up. Began to listening to everybody else in the neighborhood that says no one gets out of here. No one has ever made it out of here, and you won't either. Besides, you don't have the ability, you don't have the skill, you don't have anything. My mom sat me down that day and she let me know something that I always knew, but man, I needed to hear it. Mom sat me down, she said, son, I want you to know something. She said, I want you to know that there is greatness in you. There's something special about you. I prayed for you before you were born, and every day since, it's in there, and you've got to find it for yourself. I'm going to do everything I can as a mother to get it there, but you've got to find it. She put her hands on my forearm, and she asked me if I could become the man around the house. I said, Mom, I can do that. That day, I went to my room, and I wrote down my goals. And at 12 years old, it went something like this: find a way to get a scholarship to go to college, become an All-American in college, get my degree, go to the NFL, and buy my mom a house, and take care of her for the rest of my life. When I think back on that time, I think how important it is that we need to let people know, let our kids know, let our spouses know how important they are to us. Don't keep it a secret, because that day my life began. As I think about all of the people that made a difference in my life, my mom is the start of that. My mom is the start of that because she is the one that introduced me to the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. She is the one that said, Mike, with men all things are possible, but with him, with men things are impossible, but with God all things are possible. She said, son, I want you to understand that whatever you do, wherever you go, if you just take God with you, I know you're going to be okay. I want to thank my dad today. It took me a long time to realize how much he gave me. It took me a long time to grow up and mature and realize that we make mistakes. But my dad, I am so thankful for him. I am so thankful for his work ethic. I am so thankful for the many people that he has helped. I am so thankful for his heart. I'm thankful for my sisters and brothers today. I'm thankful for their selflessness. I thank them. I thank my wife. I thank my children. I'm so thankful that we can come together and get on our knees together and lift our family before a holy God. But along this road, I want you to understand that I stand here today and I just want you to know that I know that it is not me. I want you to know that there was a tremendous investment by so many people. And that is the reason I am here. Let me introduce you to my team. And to be on this team, you got to be able to give sacrifice. You got to be able to have integrity. You got to be able to have character. You got to be able to keep coming back, no matter how tough, no matter how hard it gets. Keep coming back. Goes something like this. These team players, these teammates that I have, starts with my coaches. In high school, I had a guy by the name of Coach Brown at Evan E. Worthen. Coach Brown taught me the work ethic. Son, nothing is free. You want it, you got to give it. You got to give everything you've got, son, and then more. Coach Taft, when I went to Baylor University, Coach Taft taught me about the importance of being a Christian athlete. Getting out there and playing within the rules, but giving everything you've got. And there was Coach Nelson, my linebacker coach, who taught me the fundamentals of playing linebacker when I thought I knew it all. And then I got drafted by the Bears, and there was Buddy Ryan, who captured a nation with the 46 defense and the imagination. And Buddy Ryan taught me what it was about to give ownership. And then there was Coach Ditka. This man was enthusiastic about life, taught me about vision. And the guy you won't know, his name is Coach McGinnis, who was my linebacker coach. When I was at the peak of my career, he was there. He was my friend. He was there in the twilight of my career when I lost a step, when I wasn't quite as fast as I used to be, when I missed that tackle that I normally would have gotten. Coach McGinnis was still my friend. That is rare. Coach Tobin taught me discipline. Whatever the defense is, you call it and you run it, but don't change it. I didn't like it, but it was right. And a guy by the name of Tom Williams taught me how to stand up and prepare for the game, prepare for the challenge of life. You all know about offensive and defensive players. Everybody wants to play offense. Everybody wants to play defense, but no one wants to play special teams. Well, let me introduce you to my special teams, and they are called my role models. Sitting over here is a gentleman, right over there under that tent is a gentleman. As a young boy, I remember turning on the television and watching him play. I said, boy, I like that. I like the way he hits. I like the way he brings it to the house. His name is Willie Lanier. And I saw Willie Lanier. So I want to hit like that. Willie was one of my role models. Roger Staubach was another because he was always consistent. And there are others. A gentleman by the name of Jim Osborne, who had so much wisdom as a player. Reeve Sori, guy for the Chicago Bears, who taught me the etiquette of the game. Alan Page, who was here, who had so much class and so much style. Walter Payton, his work ethic was unbelievable. And Gary Fensick, who had a keen sense of business. I want to thank everybody that I ever played with, the Chicago Bears and in college and in high school, because all of those guys made a difference. All of those guys contributed to me being here. And all of those guys are part of this team. I want to say special thanks to Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael, Richard Dent, Refrigerator Perry, Michael Hardenstein, and Tyrone Keeves. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Otis Wilson and Wilbur Marshall and Jim Morrissey and Ron Rivera. Every time that you go forward in life, sometimes you fall flat on your face and you need people around you that will pick you up, people that will support you. I want to introduce you to my roommates because I was difficult to room with. Guy by the name of Leslie Frazier, Todd Bell, Danny Rain, Al Harris, Sean Gale, and Dave Durson. Those were the guys who, when I fell flat on my face, they were there to say, hey, Mike, get up, you can do it. They were there to pick me up, they were there to encourage me, and they were there to tell me the truth. And I need to hear that. But you know what? I'll never forget my first game. First game I started in the NFL. I remember walking in the stadium. And man, I couldn't even stand up straight because there was so much cheering. There were so many people just cheering. And it was loud and it was rowdy. It was the fans. People today say, these fans are crazy. Hey, man, you are the greatest. I want you to know that it's because of you. So many athletes are out there giving their all. And you stood there, sat there last night and watched those athletes walk across the stage. Some of them hobbling, some of them a little bit crippled, but man, they've been in the war. And that is what this game is all about. It is a war every day. And you just have to make a decision whether or not you want to be a part of it or whether you want to win. As I stand here, I want to say thank you to the Chicago Bears organization. I want to say thank you to Jim Finks and George Hallis and the rest of the Bears family, the rest of the Bears organization, the McCaskies. As I close, I just want you to know this from the bottom of my heart. I know that people will ask me, Michael, whether this rank, Hall of Fame, top of the world, son, what is that rank? I just want you to know that I am so extremely proud. I am so extremely proud to be sharing this honor with these gentlemen here and those gentlemen there and the gentleman here behind me. But the most important thing in my life is Jesus Christ. And I thank him for what he did to me. I thank him for what he did in my life. And I thank you for cheering me on, and I'm thankful for my mom and dad, my sisters and brothers. I'm thankful for my lovely wife, who has always stood with me through thick and thin and was at every game, not in the locker room, but out there outside, 20 below. I'm thankful for my children. So with that, being in Canton has been outstanding. The people here have just been great. You people are just unbelievable. And it's been great. I'll never forget this day all of my life. Thank you, and God bless you.
Much like the other inductees, his personality on the field showing in his acceptance speech.
Well, I think when you see the intensity that Mike brought to his acceptance speech, you can understand the kind of leadership qualities that he brought to that football team. I mean, it'd be hard not to play your best with a guy like that leading you on the field.
We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, one more enshrinement. Dwight Stevenson, the great center of the Miami Dolphins. That's coming up as we continue our live coverage from Canton on ESPN2.
Sun revolves around you. At Sun, our delivery team revolves around your busy schedule. That's why we call you at home or at work on the day of delivery to let you know we're on the way. And we promise your new Sun purchase will arrive at your home on time. If not, we'll refund your delivery charge. Guaranteed on-time delivery from Sun. It's just one more reason we say, in everything we do, Sun revolves around you.
Cycle Specialties has you covered on land or sea. Kawasaki and Suzuki motorcycles and ATVs, Yamaha Wave Runners, and all the service parts and accessories you need to keep you running at your best. See it all in our newly expanded showroom, and you'll know why we're one of the top shops in the country again this year, and striving to stay on top to serve you better. New and used bikes and ATVs, parts and gear the way you want it to be. See Cycle Specialties today on Harrison Avenue near I-74, 574-7878.
Somewhere. Hold on a second. Deepak? Deepak, your wife is on the phone.
I'm not you.
No, she wants to talk to you.
I'm not you.
In about 5 hours on The Deuce right here, the NFL Tonight. Mark Malone, Merrill Hodge, and Jim Kelly makes his ESPN debut, 6:30 Eastern. Everything that's happening around the league, and the story here from Canton as well. Dwight Stevenson, his enshrinement into the Hall of Fame, when we continue from Canton after this.
You never know when your number is going to be up. That's why you need protection against the unexpected. But life is full of surprises. You could live to be 100. So at the Conseco Companies, our goal is to help you protect wealth, create wealth for life.
For everyone trying to beat the clock, Sprint introduces a world where time is finally on your side.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Introducing Sprint Sense Anytime. Now, calls are just 10 cents a minute anytime, any day. So stop watching the clock and start enjoying your calls at a dime anytime. Switch now. Call 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Time is on my side.
So, what are we going to do today, Matt?
Shave it off, all of it. Just.
Okay.
No, it's just this dandruff. It goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back.
Well, we can take care of that.
Head and Shoulders?
With regular shampoo, flakes can keep coming back. But Head & Shoulders helps prevent flakes before they start. You may never see flakes again.
And your hair looks great.
Glad I didn't do something stupid like shave my head.
Head & Shoulders changes dandruff problems into beautiful hair.
Are you old school?
Old school is vintage.
And Pelo's teenage genius does the rest. The red, white, and blue ball, that's old school.
Roberto Clemente.
It's gone for a home run for Roberto.
I'm old school, like
Mike Singletary's eyes.
Fair Five is old school.
Porsche 917.
Jackie Robinson.
Twilight doubleheader.
Walter Payton. JoJo White. That's old school.
Joe Frazier, old school.
An explosive left to the shot. Muhammad Ali goes down.
All right, dude, you want to be old school? Call the number.
Welcome back to Canton. Man who was enshrined into this Hall of Fame last year, Don Shula, is presenting for his former center, Dwight Stevenson. Let's listen in to the remainder of Shula's remarks.
It was no surprise that he was selected for 5 Pro Bowls. And if it were not for the career-ending injury, in fact, Dwight would have been selected for a lot more. You know, also, when you think about it, if it wouldn't have been for that injury, he might still be the starting center for the Dolphins today because he kept himself in that kind of condition. There is no doubt that when Dwight got hurt, the Dolphins lost a great one. Before he was hurt, Dwight anchored an offensive line which allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL in each of his seasons as a starter. And this enabled quarterbacks like Dan Marino to set numerous Pittsburgh, Dan Marino, to set numerous passing records that still stand. Dan told me one time he learned how great Dwight was because during the game, he never concentrated so much as to whether or not Dwight was in there. But if Dwight was in there, Dan always knew it because there were quarterback sacks at that time, which he didn't like. I knew exactly what Dan meant because I also sometimes forgot to follow Dwight during the game. But on Tuesdays when I watched the tapes, I always remember. I saw him continually dominate the players he was up against to such a degree that I actually began to feel sorry for them because it was such a mismatch. It didn't take long for Dwight to make an impact on the field, and it certainly didn't take him long to make an impact off the field either. He was a bastion of strength on the Dolphins' offensive line, and he was a bastion of strength in the community as well. He was extremely active in South Florida charity and civic events, and typical of his nature, he did so quietly without any fanfare. But like his playing ability, his off-season, off-field work was simply too good to be ignored, and he was named the 1985 NFL Man of the Year for his outstanding community service, the highest non-football honor an NFL player can receive. When he gets up to talk, Dwight certainly won't tell you any of these things. He'll probably say he could have played better, that others are more deserving, that any success he might have achieved was due to the play of his teammates. And he'll mean it too. But don't let Dwight fool you. Anyone who ever faced him across the line of scrimmage knows for sure that he was one of the very best who ever played. And there's no doubt in my mind either that his recognition today is well deserved. It's certainly an honor to be his presenter, but it was even a greater honor to have coached him. I've not seen a better football player on the field or a more humble person off the field. And Canton has added a touch of class with Dwight's election. It was a distinct privilege for me to present Dwight Stevenson for induction into the Pro Hall of Fame. Now I can just hope that I can get him to come up here and say a few words. Dwight?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to start off by giving credit to the Lord Jesus Christ also. Without him in my life, nothing I have accomplished or ever hope to accomplish would be possible. And my mother and my father, they always stressed that to me early on, and I really appreciate that. But let me start off by, to the commissioner, the Hall of Fame committee, to the fellow Hall of Fame members, to my family, to my the Hall of Fame selection committee, and to the fans. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today. When I think about this award and how great this award is, I realize, and Coach Schuler, you did give away my speech. Believe me, I did not get here by myself. I had a lot of help along the way. And to achieve this great award is just unbelievable. It's something that I never ever thought about or ever dreamed about. Coming into the National Football League, I really came in there just hoping to be on a football team, then hoping to stay around for a little while. But things worked out as they did, and like I said, I did, and some things, pretty good things happened for me in the National Football League. And again, I just thank God for them. And also, right now, as far as my work ethics and things like that, and helping me to become the person that I am today, I'd like to introduce my father, my mother to you. Would you please stand? Eugene Stevenson and Louise Bronson. Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce my sisters and brothers. They made many sacrifices along the way for me, and I really appreciate them and I love them. My mother and father raised 7 children, and I'd like to think, and I really feel that they did a great job. My older sister is not with me, and she was my leader. She was the one that was, like Coach Schuler, I didn't do a whole lot of talking, but she was the leader of the family and that sort of thing. And I lost her, we lost her about 15 months ago to breast cancer, and we miss her dearly. But I do have the rest of my sisters and brothers here. I'd like for Tony to stand, Tammy, Michael, and also Stephanie. Where are they at? They're throughout the crowd. I really appreciate you. And I also have another brother that's not here today, Chris. He just had another baby about 5 days ago, and I know he'd be here if he could. I'll see you when I get back home. But like I say, I've had plenty of help along the way, and I'd like to also recognize some other people at this time. My high school coach, Coach Mike Smith, would you please stand? From Hampton, Virginia. And he had a national championship high school football team this year. I'm very happy that he's here today. He's one of the guys that he got me into football. I was playing basketball, and I thought I was a pretty good basketball player, but I was probably better at football, and I appreciate Coach Smith for recognizing that. And I also have one of my other high school coaches, Coach Bob Tyson. He's out here in the audience somewhere. And he's the one that when I was getting ready to go to the University of Alabama, I was kind of intimidated, didn't know what to expect. Coming from a little small town in Hampton, Virginia, and going down to the University of Alabama to play football, you were looking for words of encouragement. And I think I was with Coach Tyson on like a Saturday or something, and he said, Dwight, when are you leaving for Alabama? And I told him I said, Coach, I'm leaving tomorrow, I'm leaving Sunday. He said, okay, you'll be back Wednesday. So, but I tell you what, I know he was just joking, and he's always supported me, and I really appreciate it. And I also have some of my teammates here from my high school football team, Kenny Gillum, Woodrow Wilson, Simon Gupton, and I appreciate you guys for being supportive of me, and thank you very much. Thank you. And then from there, I went on to the University of Alabama, and that's where I had the opportunity to play for the legendary Paul Bear Bryant, which at that time was probably the best thing that could have happened for me. He was a person that was interested in making good people. He didn't want just good football players, but he wanted us to be good people. He would take us out there on the football field and work us, and boys, it didn't seem like he really cared about us and work us. And then he'd walk through the dining room, and he'd come up and say, Dwight, you know, how's your mama doing? Is she still working there? You know, he really showed her interest in his football players, and I really appreciated Coach Bryant. God bless his soul. And also there was another coach, Coach Ken Donahue, and he should be out here somewhere. I really appreciate him. He's the one who recruited me and took me down and got me to come down to the University of Alabama along with Coach John Mitchell. I really appreciate them. And oh, how you doing, Coach? All right, thank you very much. And then, you know, some great things happened to me there at the University of Alabama, and that's where I met my soulmate, the love of my life. I'd like to introduce my wife to you, Dinah Stevenson. Would you please stand? Like some of the other players mentioned, you know, you do go through tough times. You do need that support, and you do need that kind of help to help you along the way. And she's always there to provide me that support, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I also have my two sons here, Dwight Jr. and Dwayne. All right, thank you, big guy. Appreciate it. They're great guys. And then some of my teammates, Terry Jones, Buddy Adelaide, Curtis McGriff, and Vince Booth. We played together at the University of Alabama, and we won a lot of football games together. We won 2 national championships, and we had some great teams. And I appreciate those guys coming up. And like I say, I'm really just a product of people helping people. I've never been the one that want to take credit, but I do believe in sharing the credit. If there's any praise to be given, I just believe in sharing it. And I thank those guys for coming up. And then I had the opportunity to go down to Miami and play for the legendary Coach Don Shula. When I went down to the University of Miami, when I went down to Miami again, I didn't expect a whole lot out of myself. I did expect a whole lot out of myself, but I didn't know exactly what would happen. And when you get around Coach Shula, he's like the extension at the University of Alabama. The same things that we practiced there, Coach Brian taught us, were the same things that went on down at Miami. And he gave me the opportunity to play there and play professional football there for the Miami Dolphins. And Coach Shula, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. And also, I have one of my offensive line coaches, Coach John Sandusky. He coached me the whole time I was in the National Football League. He took a guy that came from the University of Alabama that knew how to run block but didn't know a whole lot about pass protection. And I think I turned out to be a pretty good pass protector at one time. So if you would you stand, Coach Sam? John? Thank you. And his wife, Shirley. Again, you know, I had great teammates there at the University of, down in Miami there, and I played with the great ones like Dan Marino, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, and we won a lot of football games down there. We played in a couple of Super Bowls, and those were disappointing, but we did do a lot of good things down there, and I had some great guys to learn from, like Larry Little and Bob Greasy and the great Dolphins before from the 1972 undefeated football season. Those great guys, they helped us out. And again, I'm just very, very thankful and humble, and I'm just happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Well, the fifth and final enshrinee, Dwight Stevenson. Tommy, when we talk about a career cut short because of the knee injury that ironically it occurred on a fumble recovery as Stevenson was playing defense, it took away a career that was really still at a very high point.
Well, I think when you think about centers and the longevity that they have during the course of a football career, oftentimes we expect 15, 16 years. Actually, when Don Shula was presenting Dwight Stevenson, he said he might still be playing center for them had he not gotten injured.
A Alabama grad from 1980, Dwight Stevenson, the fifth Inducted here into the Hall of Fame, and now 194 men call this place their own in Canton, Ohio. A reminder, the game usually comes up right about this time, but no, it is in prime time tonight. The AFC-NFC Hall of Fame game at Fawcett Stadium. Cordell Stewart and the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, two playoff teams from last year. Al Michaels, Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf, and Boomer Esiason starts his tenure in the Monday night booth, 7 Eastern tonight. And then, as soon as that game's over, come on over to ESPN. Chris Berman in the studio. We'll get you started about 10 Eastern with the NFL tonight. Get you ready for the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs, the American Bowl from Tokyo. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire with the call tonight on ESPN. That's your football doubleheader tonight. There's more to do from Canton on this day when Tommy McDonald made us all laugh and showed us that he still has good hands as a Hall of Famer.
Night, Shannon. Good game.
Hey, thanks, man.
Eggs are crazy. What's on the almost
You like late hits? Then you love NFL Extreme. It's a 5-on-5 gridiron free-for-all.
PlayStation.
Attention, citizens. If you plan to be on the road seeking fun and recreation this summer, here's an important tip. Nothing beats 1-800-COLLECT for staying in touch. It's easy to use and costs 10 cents a minute every evening. And as Mr. Chaz McFeely here learned, failure to use 1-800-COLLECT can get you in trouble. So there you have it. Dial 1-800-COLLECT. It's easy, it can save a bundle, and you'll keep our furry friends happy. 1-800-COLLECT. 10 cents a minute every evening.
The Blippy Blast. 6 feet of choice meats, real dairy cheese, freshly baked bread, enough to satisfy up to 40 people. Or just one. Blippy, it's a beautiful thing.
You know, some people think the best thing about ESPN magazine is the writing. Other people say it's the great photography. And some people think it's the design. But if you ask me, the best thing about ESPN magazine is clearly the large format. These subscription cards, however, are driving me crazy.
Mark Malone and Ron Jaworski will fill in for yours truly and Sterling Sharp on Monday Night Countdown at 7:30 Eastern this Monday night. Talking about quarterbacks, McNair and Paulus take you down to Oilers camp, and QB's on the hot seat. Plus all the news from training camp on Monday Night Countdown, 7:30 Eastern. It will be myself, Sterling, and Tom Jackson at 6:30 Eastern every Monday night, getting you ready for Monday Night Football when the regular season starts. We'll be back in Canton, Ohio, right after this.
Changes. We've seen many in our over 100 years at Perpetual Federal, but one thing that never changes is our commitment to your financial success. That is why we offer a variety of checking accounts. I invite you to stop in and compare the high cost of your present checking account to the low cost checking accounts at Perpetual Federal. Come join our family at Perpetual Federal and grow with us for generations to come.
Here's a gamble that makes everybody a winner. The Big G that stands for quality. Johnson's Gamble Store in Aurora with names like Frigidaire and Speed Queen. Lane in England. RCA TVs and VCRs. Speed Queen and Tappan. Corolla Dinettes. Serta Betting and more you can't lose. Plus, with our superior service, free delivery, and easy credit, it's never a gamble when you shop Johnson's Gamble Store. So see the Big G that stands for quality. Johnson's Gamble Store at 419 2nd Street in Aurora.
I'm telling you, Savaresi's the man. No way. Frederic, who's a better pure goal scorer, Savaresi or Diaz-Arce?
Be real, Savaresi.
This fall on Sunday nights on ESPN, the National Football League and United Way celebrate 25 years of working together to make a difference in communities across the nation. Join Jim Harbaugh, Tim Brown, and Junior Seau on the team that's always a winner. The NFL, the United Way, and you, the power of teamwork.
It is the 35th anniversary of the Hall, which includes the 36th enshrinement ceremony. Those 5 pictures you see there hanging from the rafters of Fawcett Stadium. Now back behind us in the Hall of Fame, Tom, with their families, chance to take pictures. And I saw the bust of Tommy McDonald. It was empty, obviously, with the stand, the bust being out here. The stand was right next to that of Dick Butkus, and that's where Tommy McDonald's name will sit for the next little while here in the Hall of Fame. As we watched this, we saw emotion and honest emotion from players. It's so interesting because you lose these players from the limelight unless they get into a coaching or television career for a long stretch. So you have to think back to their playing days, and they haven't really talked much about themselves in public until they get to this Hall of Fame and have to relive it all again.
Yeah, and I think certainly we see the enthusiasm that made them the players that they were. Certainly in the case of Tommy McDonald, he brought that kind of enthusiasm to the football field. I remember as a young man watching the games with my dad and watching Tommy McDonald and admiring him. And of course, each of these 5 enshrinees is here for his skills on the football field, and yet I think what we saw was truly great character in each and every one of these guys. We got now the smallest inductee in terms of a player, and Tommy McDonald, to ever come into this hall. We had another undersized player in Mike Singletary. You had Anthony Munoz, who, as he said, coming from Ontario, California, didn't know how good he was going to be, the leading interceptor of all time. I think Paul Krause, a bit of an overachiever who did great things. It's just a great group. Dwight Stevenson, shortened career but brilliant career. It's the character of these men is what stood out for me today.
You mentioned Munoz, and you talk about Paul Krause. When we say Munoz redefined his position, so did Krause. He really redefined the free safety position when Bud Grant decided to go zone defense and make that center fielder, if you will, such a key part of the defense. Well, one moment we'll always remember is Tommy McDonald. While many emotions were brought out today, the exuberance of McDonald was extraordinary. Age 64, just turned 64 last weekend. And when he was up there and he called up all the Hall of Famers that were going in with him and chest bumping them, it was a blast. Let's go back and relive that moment if you weren't with us earlier.
Last but not least, Tommy McDonald, Philadelphia Eagles. Go! Thank you, Kenton. I love it.
And he's been going at that pace and that volume for about 2 days now.
That's right. That's
going
right.
all the way like that. And I thought you brought up something interesting. As a senior committee voted in,
yes,
you could be unhappy about the process, frustrated by the process, yet he didn't show 1 ounce of that potential bitterness for having to wait so long. For a guy who was 5'9" and caught 84 career touchdowns, you know, he really brought up the positives of the wait.
Well, I just thought it was so refreshing to see a man of 64 years of age so excited to now be going. Although he's 64, he looks like he's about 64 years young when you watch him on stage. But I love his enthusiasm. I know from players who have gone in, who I've talked with, it is the greatest honor you can receive having played this game. And I think Tommy McDonald took that to heart.
Let's go back to Paul Krause. I was talking about him in that Anthony Munoz big picture category of redefining a position. Defensively, did he really make a change to what the free safety was all about on a football field?
Well, I think in combination with his teammates, he certainly had great footwork. He was a guy who had the ability to find the football. And playing free safety is not necessarily just playing center field. You have to put yourself in a position to make plays. So when you consider the 81 touchdowns, when you consider going to the Pro Bowl as a rookie, I think that, the numbers speak for themselves. Paul Krause was an outstanding athlete all the way until he got into professional football.
We remember his Vikings days from 68 to 79. His Redskins days as well, 64 to 67. You talk about that rookie season. But that Minnesota defense was really its generation's finest, right there with the Steelers' steel curtain and the Dolphins' no-name defense in the AFC. For that entire stretch when both had their dominant periods in the AFC, one after the other, this Viking defense always answered the bell.
Well, and I think they had many things in common, because one of the things you look for when a great free safety is his ability to understand what is going on with the rest rest of that defense. You have that great front four, so they're going to put pressure on the quarterback. It changes the timing of what Paul Krause could do in that defensive backfield. He took full advantage of it.
And you wonder, Carl Eller, Jim Marshall, will they get the call from Canton and go in? Ron Yary, Mick Tingelhoff, players on that Vikings team that gets grouped in a big picture for not winning the 4 Super Bowls that they went to. Stigma is the exact word. Will their individual honors be rewarded with enshrinement somewhere down the line in Canton? That, just like the Buffalo Bills of the 80s, are stories that are the fodder for debate for many years to come at the Hall of Fame. We will come back with more from Canton in just a little bit. This is the centerpiece of a glorious week. No city could do a better job and can show more pride being the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame than they do here in Canton.
We were watching this cooking show on TV one day.
It was about the best barbecued shrimp in New Orleans.
When I said, hey, let's fly there for lunch, I was kidding.
I said, okay, let's go.
She wasn't kidding.
So we hopped on a Southwest flight. The next thing you know, we're in New Orleans.
Bon appetit.
We did skip dessert.
Well, with fares this low, we figured we could always fly back for that.
You are now free to move about the country.
Millions may know the story, but only one network can finally bring you the film. Showtime wins my vote for artistic bravery, raves the New York Post, and Time magazine says a touch of greatness. So don't miss one of the most talked about films of the year, directed by Adrian Lyne. Lolita, the exclusive U.S. premiere, only on Showtime.
So I just graduated school and my life is up in the air. And I figure if my life's up in the air, I might as well be up in the air. I got no restrictions, like collect calls with 1-800-CALL-ATT. One low rate, anytime, anywhere, period. And that's good when your life's up in the air. So I called that collect with 1-800-CALL-ATT and I go, Pops, like you said, I always find a way to land on my feet. Hey, life's full of uncertainty, but 1-800-CALL-ATT is the guaranteed cheap way to make collect calls.
Marijuana, you know, cost me a lot of things. I mean, I used to be a straight-A student, you know. I was liked by all the neighbors, you know. Never really caused any trouble. I was always a good kid, you know, growing up. You know, it was all right. Before I knew it, I was getting thrown out of my house. I mean, it's crazy to think what really happened to me. I was a good kid, straight-A students. Next thing I know, I'm getting thrown out of my house, and it's like, you know, I just became a total loser.
Once the regular season starts, there'll be an NFL show on ESPN or The Deuce every night of the season. But the preseason, the NFL Tonight is there to tell you what's going on in all the training camps. 1/2 hour, Tuesday through Saturday at 7:30 Eastern. Hosted by Mark Malone with a cast of a pretty darn good football team. Merrill Hodge, Sean Salisbury, Mike Golick. We'll see Ron Jaworski on the show. And we'll also see new Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz on the NFL Tonight on ESPN2. Speaking of Mr. Munoz, we'll talk about his enshrinement right after this.
For everyone trying to beat the clock, Sprint introduces a world where time is finally on your side.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Introducing Sprint Sense Anytime. Now, calls are just 10 cents a minute anytime, any day. So stop watching the clock and start enjoying your calls at a dime anytime. Switch now. Call 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Time is on my side.
Someday they're gonna want you in a 3-piece suit. They're gonna make you compete till it hurts, with charts and graphs and numbers. That's why they're telling you all about pain and gain now. Maybe they forgot how good it feels to run in the middle of the afternoon when the only one saying faster, faster is you.
Were you born without a soul?
Excuse me? You don't know how to love, do you?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about this.
It's just an oil filter.
Just an oil filter? Look, nothing stops more dirt than America's #1 brand of oil filter, Fram. Now get out of here. How do you live with yourself?
Fram oil filters. Pay a little more now, or pay a lot later.
Drake Thaddeus takes on John Scully tomorrow at 10 on ESPN2.
So welcome back to Canton. Many of the fans who came to watch this Hall of Fame ceremony will get the opportunity to really, many as can get in, spend some time in the hall. In other years, it's right over to the stadium for the game. The stadium's just 100 yards away, just a few steps away, but they'll get to go around in the hall and get a good look. Well, Tommy, of the 194 players and contributors and coaches now in the Hall of Fame, 45, or about 1/4, went in on their first ballot. That really tells you the true greats who had the great career and the stamp of that great career coming with their induction, and a couple of them added this year with Mike Singletary and Anthony Munoz.
Yeah, and I like to reference it as them getting to the Hall of Fame in the traditional way. You have a great career, you play for a long time, you're going to be fairly injury-free, and I think for both Mike Singletary and Anthony Munoz, they had outstanding careers. They were there for their teams all the time, and they were great leaders. Anthony Munoz, as I said, and I'm playing against him when he's a rookie, had the best feet and hands of any left tackle I ever came in contact with. You can see right there, once he puts the clamps on you, you're not going to get by him. He also was an outstanding run blocker as well. And then I think that when we start to talk about Mike Singletary, you're talking about a guy who had talent, but he made the most of that talent with extraordinary preparation. And he got the most out of his abilities.
Something you can talk to real well because you guys were of similar size.
Undersized, yes.
And knew the intensity at that position with a lot of bigger people all around you, and you're in the middle there as the linebacker, not only to be that defensive quarterback for the team and their personality, but also you had to have an extra toughness because of you didn't have the size the other guys around you did.
I believe that the natural assumption by your opponents is if you're undersized, you're going to be a bit easier to block. And that's not the case if you bring that extra intensity to the game. Mike Singletary's eyes, which he referred to me when we talked to him, he said that was a look into his soul. Mike Singletary was always where he was supposed to be on time. He didn't take false steps from the middle linebacker position, which can put you out of position. And then he was a tremendous hitter at the point of contact. All of those things, along with being a great leader. So he had the respect of his teammates, and quite a group of teammates he had when you consider the Hamptons and the Fridges. I mean, they were not an easy group to control, but he told me he didn't control them. He said he just tried to spend time with them, let them understand by example what kind of player he wanted to be, and he wanted them to do the same.
Without question, one of the most unique teams the NFL will see in its last quarter century of the 20th century. Well, Bill George, Butkus, Singletary.
Yes.
Pretty good lineage of middle linebackers
That's correct.
for the Chicago Bears. A timeout here. We'll come back with more from Canton as the folks get to enjoy a great day that really was melded perfectly with a wonderfully emotional and exciting induction ceremony.
If you had $40,000, would you pay off your bills, make home improvements, or keep some for emergencies? Well, at First Plus, you can get up to $40,000 or more with no equity required. And you can get pre-qualified right now. Here's how.
Do you own your home? Do you have good credit? Do you want to pay off your bills and lower your monthly payments?
If you said yes to all 4 questions, call First Plus now. Tell them you're pre-qualified to apply for the money you need. Call First Plus at 1-800-510-PLUS.
You heard about the High Endurance Deodorant Challenge from Old Spice? It's great at stopping odor. But what if you got to stop sweat? Well, now High Endurance makes a powerful new antiperspirant. A white solid that goes on clear. See? No white flakes. So you can stay dry without the white mess you get from some other antiperspirants. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. So take the challenge. Because this is more than just an antiperspirant. This is the high endurance of antiperspirants.
Night, Shannon. Good game.
Hey, thanks, man.
Eggs are crazy. What's on the other one?
You like late hits? Then you love NFL Extreme. It's a 5-on-5 gridiron free-for-all.
PlayStation.
My husband and I made a bet. I said 10321 was cheaper. He thought AT&T was. Well, the phone bill is here, and he lost. Turns out 10321 saved 50% off every call over 20 minutes. In fact, calling Grandma in Cleveland only cost $280 with 10321. It was $560 with AT&T. So it's settled. Now we both dial 10321, then 1 in the number. Right, honey?
This is the last time I bet against you.
I love a man in an apron.
Dial 10321.
Today, we study the enemy, the humanoids after us,
Outsmart the bugs with Terminix. We'll be there when you need us.
and the most dangerous, Terminix Eradicators.
Call 1-800-Terminix. No bugs, no hassles.
So welcome back to Canton. And Tom Jackson, when you think of a football play, you think of the quarterback where the receivers are and the backs are, but it has to start with the center. He's the one who touches it before anything else happens. And when you think about the teams that were great for a long stretch in the league, every one of them really had a named center of high quality. Dwight Stevenson wasn't around for Super Bowl championship teams. But those Dolphin teams were very dominant.
Well, the other quarterback on the field for the Miami Dolphins, and when you consider his history or his lineage, you know, coming from the University of Alabama under Bear Bryant, you expect him to be an outstanding run blocker. But when you understand the way he picked up pass blocking technique and understood the entire game and did it in a very short length of time with the Miami Dolphins, I think that's the obvious reason that we're finding him being inducted today.
And I thought Don Shula made a good point. Perhaps when we were in break, as he was introducing and presenting Dwight Stevenson, the Dolphins of that era, always the fewest sacks allowed. A lot of it due to the quick release of Dan Marino, but also a lot of it the offensive line, captained by Dwight Stevenson. A final thought on the class of '98 in Canton. When we come back, those guys are inside enjoying watching their busts go next to the 189 others.
For over 13 years, people have come to rely on Lee Brown's trailers for the best in sales and service. From trailers and towing equipment, car dollies, open and enclosed cargo trailers, heavy equipment trailers, and our new line of Oars trailers, Lee Brown's has it all. From names such as U.S. Cargo, Vintage, Southern Sales, Dawson, Maclander, and Murhow. And at Lee Brown's, we perform warranty work on any trailer we sell, as well as installing hitches, including gooseneck and fifth wheel styles. So when it comes to trailers, see Lee Brown's Trailer Sales on Harrison Avenue in Harrison for sales and service you can rely on.
Hi, I'm Ron Trzynski. We make the finest mattress handles in the industry. They're made to help you lift your bed without pulling out. In our mattresses, we use 100% stitched cotton padding. Cotton breathes, is comfortable, natural, and virtually lasts forever. The national brands use shredded clippings mixed with their cotton or no cotton at all. You be the judge. At the Original Mattress Factory.
How you doing, Sarge? Okay, folks, what'll it be? What would you like, sweetheart?
A Pepsi, please.
Sorry, we only have Coke. Now you've done it.
You're sorry? Not half as sorry as you're gonna be. I ordered a Pepsi, pal.
She's got a mind of her own.
What's with this guy?
Look, I just thought...
You thought? What you really thought was that I don't know the difference between Pepsi and a Coke, right?
Here's your Pepsi.
Thank you. Mmm.
Kids say the darndest things.
What are you looking at?
I like this place.
Next year in the Hall of Fame game, Northern Ohio gets what it's been waiting for a few years. See the Browns play the Cowboys. It will be the second game for the Browns, August 14th. Not that traditional first weekend of August or last weekend of July for the Hall of Fame. And it looks like there's going to be no off weekend between the championship game and the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl of 2000. But that's a long way away. All these folks want to know is the Browns will be back, and maybe Ozzie Newsome will go in next year. He would be eligible. Lawrence Taylor eligible next year. A final thought on this year's class.
Well, I think certainly the character of this year's class is what shines through to me. When you think about Tommy McDonald, a diminutive receiver, you think about the intensity of Mike Singletary, the class that we saw from Anthony Munoz, Paul Krause and his long wait. I just think that it was a great class. Dwight Stevenson, the great player with the short career. So the character is what shined through for me.
No question, Tom. In sports, we talk about a great play, a great moment, a great player. A great is a subjective term that we sometimes throw out. But once you add the title Hall of Famer, that takes all subjectivity out of it. That has confirmed their greatness. With Tom Jackson, our entire ESPN crew, Mike Tirico, congratulations to the Hall of Famers. So long from Canton. AMA Motocross is next.
Good evening, everyone, on this first day of August, and welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Along with Sports Director John Popovich, I'm Dennis Jansen, and this has been a simply great day here in Canton. Anthony Munoz was inducted to the Hall of Fame, the first Bengal to be accorded that lofty honor. John?
And DJ, as you can see, it's been a gorgeous day in Canton and an amazing day if you're a football fan. And we're going to have a great show in store for you tonight. We'll have highlights from the induction ceremony, including Anthony's speech.
And some of Anthony's former teammates had a night of celebration in honor of today's festivities. We included a camera into the mix, and we'll have a report on the largest party this weekend as well.
Yeah, it was really large, too. And we'll also talk to the man who probably benefited most from having Anthony on his team. I'll talk to Boomer Esiason, who's now a rookie in the announce booth. And that new career begins tonight right here on Channel 9 when the Tampa Bay Bucks take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Hall of Fame game right after this show.
But we are not ignoring the Bengals of current vintage. Heaven forbid we do that. Catherine Nero is down on their case in Georgetown, Kentucky. She joins us now with a preview of what is going on in environs south of here. Catherine?
That's right, DJ. Coming up, we'll have highlights of the scrimmage here at Georgetown. Went off just about 2 o'clock today, where the Bengals offense went up against the Bengals defense. We'll also let you know how the quarterbacks fared in today's competition, and we'll get some perspective on that situation. We will also check in on AFC Rookie of the Year last year, Corey Dillon, and see if he's feeling any pressure to live up to all that this year. But for right now, let's go back to the big story and you guys up in Canton.